had a little lamb, it sleek was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Oh, you typical. Oh, you typical.
Yeah, come on in here, Alexander's Ragtime Band.
But I love to be all night.
Hi, and welcome to the first edition of Dawn of Sound. I'm your host, Peter Nagy, and joining me is my good friend, Adrian Schumann. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Pete. It's great to be here. Marvelous to be here for this first edition of this program from Dawn of Sound.
Very exciting, and I mean, we've talked about doing this for quite some time.
And finally, here it is.
Yes. It's
great.
To get things started, the first track we've got set to go, He'd Have to Get Out and Get Under to Fix Up His Automobile by Billy Murray.
Johnny O'Connor bought an automobile. He took his sweetheart for a ride one Sunday. Johnny was togged up in his best Sunday clothes. She nestled close to his side. Things went just dandy till he got down the road. Then something happened to the old machinery. That engine got his goat, off went his hat and coat. Everything needed repairs. He'd have to get under, get out and get under to fix his little machine. He was just dying to cuddle his queen, but every minute when he'd begin it, he'd have to get under, get out and get under. Then he'd get back at the wheel. A dozen times they'd start to hug and kiss, and then the darned old engine, it would miss, and then he'd have to get under, get out and get under, and fix up his automobile. Millionaire Wilson said to Johnny one day, your little sweetheart don't appreciate you. I have a daughter who is hungry for love. She likes to ride every day. Johnny had visions of $1 million in gold. He took her riding in his little auto. But every time that he went to say, marry me, 'twas the old story again. He'd have to get under, get out and get under to fix his little machine. He was just dying to cuddle his queen, but every minute when he'd begin it, he'd have to get under, get out and get under. Then he'd get back at the wheel. Every time that he would reach for a kiss, it seems the darned old spark plug, it would miss, and then he'd have to get under, get out and get under, and fix up his automobile. He'd have to get under, get out and get under, to fix his little machine. He was just dying to cuddle his queen, but every minute when he'd begin it, he'd have to get under, get out and get under. Then he'd get back at the wheel. It seems that once she sat down on his knee, and then he lost control, ran right up a tree, and then he had to get under, get out and get under, and fix up his automobile.
There you have it, Billy Murray. He'd Have to Get Under.
Pete, what was that recorded? What label was it? And any idea of the recording date?
This was Victor, recorded for Victor, number 17491, issued in 1913. So, of course, the automobile was fairly new at that time, and there were a lot of songs dealing with the automobile at that time, that era.
Can you tell us, why does the recording that we've just heard not sound like modern recordings today? How did Billy Murray make this recording?
Well, of course, this recording was done during what is called the acoustic era. This is pre-microphone. You essentially sang into this horn, which funneled your sound to a diaphragm that vibrated a needle. There's absolutely no electricity involved. And, of course, with the limitations of that technology, you've got that bit of that hollow sound and limited dynamic range. But that was the technology at the time, and Billy Murray was one of those voices that recorded quite well.
Now, one of those voices that recorded well meant what, do you think? I mean, this man was what kind of recording star?
Well, he was a vaudeville star, right? So I mean, so being up on the stage, learning how to project, helped a great deal in the recording studio of that time. This is, of course, pre-microphone.
Yep.
Once the microphone came in, you've got the crooners and you've got the softer vocal stylings. But at this time, you had to really belt it out to get that voice recorded.
And it sounds like he was belting it out. He really made an effort to convey. I mean, what amazes me about these recordings is how clear everything is. You can hear sibilants, S's and B's and P's and that kind of thing. So although it's early, it's not necessarily crude.
It's not as crude as people think it is. I mean, to our ears, maybe it sounds a bit crude because of the technology we have around us now with digital and surround sound. But these recording sessions picked up an awful lot of the sound, and with modern noise reduction techniques, we're able to bring more out of that really noisy wax.
And I was amazed that someone had the courage to write about the problems of early cars. You wouldn't crawl under your car today, would you?
Never.
And not under those conditions. Okay, good.
Next up is a song sung by Esther Walker, who had a relatively short recording career. She belted out this song, Slow and Easy, recorded in May 14, 1920 on Victor.
The doggone blues. Honey dear, listen here. Just bought a pair of new shoes. A pair of new shoes mean terrible news. When they play the blues, what can I do? Oh boy, oh joy. Let's dance it through, but take it slow and easy. If you wanna get along with me, go slow and easy, easy as a man can be. I'm a lady, pure and sweet, but let's shimmy, ooh, so I can rest my feet. Go slow and easy if you wanna get along with me. Honey dear, listen here, I think I'll have to stop. Honey dear, listen here, I think my feet will pop. My shoes are new, they're killing me too. Hear that blues, what can I do? Oh boy, oh joy, let's toddle it through, so take it slow and easy. If you wanna get along with me, go slow and easy, easy as a man can be. I'm not pretty, not so very neat, I'm just a tantalizing gal with a pair of wicked feet. Go slow and easy if you wanna get along with me. I said, if you wanna get along with me, and I mean, if you wanna get along with me.
And that was Slow and Easy, recorded in the early part of her Esther's short recording career. from what I have read about her, she appeared on Broadway, but there's very little about Esther. Do you know anything about her, Adrian?
I went onto the World Wide Web and pulled out a small fact sheet. She was on this curious website called The Jazz Age, and there's a couple of facts. You were right, very short recording career from 1919 till roughly 1927, and she made more of a hit in about 1926. So we're hearing her very early in her career. In fact, you have this recording from 1920. And to be quite frank, I had never heard of this voice until you played this recording today. So, where did you get this record?
This record, if I remember correctly, I mean, I've had it in my collection probably for about 10 years, came from an estate sale. It was one of those, a box of records for $20 or whatever it was. And there were a number of Columbia and Victor sides in there, and this was one of them. It's the only Esther Walker record I have. And this is also the first time I've heard of her. So I just thought it was an interesting piece to listen to.
Well, I think you found some data that didn't Bessie Smith record this song as well, or am I thinking of a different song?
You're thinking of a different song that's coming up later in the program.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if she also recorded this.
She has that kind of style where she belts it out. You can hear her standing in front of the recording horn and just letting it go.
Yeah.
Now, the other great thing is the musicians behind her. These are live musicians. They're not sort of laying the track down and then she's adding to it. These people are probably playing behind her.
Right.
So the recording horn, her, the artists, and it must have been sort of a real blast that day when this was made.
Yeah, it's I could just picture it in my mind, all gathering around this recording horn, and also at that time, because you didn't have microphone faders and the modern technology, you had to, depending on the loudness of your voice, you had to move away or come close, depending on how loud you were going to sing. And so the musicians were constantly moving into the horn and then moving back when they were playing louder. And so it would have been neat to see one of these recording sessions in progress.
So good for you and congratulations. Until this event, I'd never heard of Esther Walker, so I'm going to look for her on compact disc.
Now, the next title we have coming up is a very popular song at the last turn of the century, "Oh, Promise Me." And I believe Harry McDonough is one of your favorite pioneer recording artists.
Well, Harry McDonough, that's not his real name, by the way. That's his recording name. He was actually born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario, where I hail from. I wasn't as famous as Harry McDonough. Harry McDonough was this marvelous tenor voice. He was probably one of the first recording stars of the acoustic recording era. He didn't live long enough to make electric recordings. And here he is singing this song, and you have the recording date.
1902. It's a very early Victor, probably from his earliest recording sessions for Victor.
So after we hear the song, I have a little bit of information about where "Oh, Promise Me" came from.
I'd be very interested to hear that.
We'll hear this song.
Promise me that someday you and I will take our love together to some sky where we may be alone and faith renew and find the hollows where those flowers grew. Oh, promise me that someday you and I will take our love together to some sky where we may be alone and faith renew and find the hollows where those flowers grew. 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 And find the hollows w promise me that you will take my hand, the most unworthy in this lonely land, and let me sit beside you in your eyes, seeing the vision of our paradise, hearing God's message while the organ rolls its mighty music to our very souls. No love less perfect than a life with thee. Oh, promise me, oh, promise me.
Oh, Promise Me, Harry McDonough.
That was a spectacular sounding recording. I mean, the interesting thing about this song, it was published in 1889 or 1890. We're not quite sure. But Pete, just think that 10 years after this song appears in a Broadway musical called Robin Hood, that here is this young Canadian-born American tenor, so to speak, standing before a recording horn, quite probably in Camden, New Jersey, or maybe the Carnegie Hall studio was open at that point. And he's singing a song that even in 10 years after this, no, in 1902, this is about 12 years after that, he's recording a song that everyone has embraced as the consummate love song. And I mean, in the 50s and 60s, you would hear "Oh, Promise Me" sung by horrible sopranos in churches. And it all started here. And he gives the song a dignity and delivers it with just a wonderful firmness that I'd never heard before. So good for you, 1902.
And of course, the original was recorded by a fellow named Bartlett Davis, who introduced the song on stage in Robin Hood. And that was recorded for Berliner. So maybe for another future show, if we can get a copy of that.
Do you have that in your collection? Well, it's not cataloged yet, so that's coming up. Okay.
I may not. No, I don't think I have that one, but it'd be great to get, just to compare the two. Next up is another ballad, and this one is called "I'm Tying the Leaves So They Won't Fall Down." And the reason I picked this song is about a month ago I saw a silent movie directed by Alice Guy Blanchet called "Falling Leaves." And I thought it was an interesting silent. It's a short one. It was about 10 minutes long. But it's about a little child whose sister gets ill. And, of course, the doctor says that, once the last leaves have fallen, that the child will be gone. Oh, dear. And, of course, the little boy, he runs out trying to tie up the leaves to stop his sister from passing. And so I thought this was an interesting song. It just, it stuck out, and I thought it'd be interesting to give it a play.
Wide, wide world is the best little girl in the wide, wide world is lying so ill today. Her young life must go when the last leaves fall. I'm fixing them fast so they'll stay. I'm tying the leaves so they won't come down, so Nellie won't go away.
And that was recorded in 1907 by Brian Harlan.
Now you notice that I have my hanky out here, and this is the kind of the song that would have driven listeners in that time period to complete distraction. I would be awash on the floor if I'd heard that.
Yes,
In what date did you say this was?
This was 1907, and the film based on this song was made in 1912.
Now, are you suggesting that there may have been some kind of tie-in, that the composer wrote the song as an addition to the film? That sounds very modern. Or is it just coincidence that this song was written and recorded, and later on a film by that title was made?
I think Alice Guy probably had this record, listened to it, and thought, wow, this would make a great film.
And what a great stimulus for a
Yes.
film.
Yes.
I'll have to find that film. Now, who is this Byron, what's his name? Who's...
Now, Byron Harlan was a very popular recording artist at the last turn of the century. He was famous for ballads. He's well known for his teaming with Holland.
So you're suggesting that a lot of people were crying in that time period when his recordings were made. You can just see how they would affect people. It gets right inside and grabs the heartstrings.
For sure, for sure. Next up is a song sung by a group that I've never heard before, Salt and Pepper. The name of the song is called Crazy Blues, which was first sung by Bessie Smith, and you had mentioned that earlier.
It was Bessie, finally.
And this is a song that was composed by Perry Bradford. Is recorded on July 14 in 1924 on Cameo Records. And I've never heard of this group, Salt and Pepper, but I thought it'd be an interesting song to play. Crazy Blues by Salt and Pepper, and as you can hear, that record was well loved by somebody. Virtually no grooves left on this disc.
Now, you found that the artists on the record label said Salt and Pepper, and we know that Cameo was one of these smaller record labels, not like Columbia or Victor or anything else. And so I'm wondering if they got an artist who was a bigger name someplace else, and they couldn't use that name because that would cause some kind of conflict with the record company that they were recording with. And so is this name something that Cameo adapted?
Might be a pseudonym for someone.
And you mentioned this was recorded in 1924, and it was an early electrical recording.
Actually, it may be an early electrical, maybe an acoustic. It's very hard to tell with all that noise. It almost sounded like it could be an electrical.
Now, the interesting thing is that voice. We were debating off air, was this a woman or a man? And it's hard to tell.
It's very hard to tell.
But I think you're right. This isn't the blues tradition, so we need to ask your listeners if they know anything about who this is.
And if you do know, please drop us an email and let us know. We'd be very interested.
And how do they do that? What's your email address? How can we get a hold of you at Dawn of Sound?
Just click on my contact tab at dawnofsound.com. And,
so it's that simple, you're suggesting.
Very, very easy.
What a show off.
Okay, coming up next is another artist that I've never heard of before. Zina Brozia, I hope I'm saying that correctly. She recorded for Columbia in 1912 the Jewel Song from Faust. Zina, as far as I can tell, only made one Columbia recording. I did a search on the internet and could only come up with this recording. I know that she lived in France. She debuted at the Palais Garnier in 1908. But that's all the information I have of her.
I have information. Let's hear this astonishing recording.
Jewel Song from Faust, sung by Zina Brazia. A name I've never heard before, but what a beautiful sound. What a beautiful voice.
Now you understand what this recording is really all about. You have that quizzical look that you don't know what this recording is all about.
I know it's an important number. It's a very important piece.
You said the magic word in introducing the song. You said 1912. Now, this may have been Columbia's attempt to compete with the full-length recording of Faust, because Pathé recorded the entire opera on 56 records in 1912. This may have been their attempt to garner a little bit of attention away from that huge production that took years to complete. Now, the interesting thing is I've never heard of this soprano, not that I'm an expert in opera by any means, but in North America, the soprano that everyone seemed to adore in that time period was Amelita Galli-Curci. And here's a serious competition to Galli-Curci, and you have this recording. I doubt that it was well known in North America and probably only sold in Europe. So good for you. Where did this recording come from? I might want to know.
I think this was in the same box.
Oh, that lovely estate. Okay, good for you.
Love those estate
Wonderful
options.
to hear that.
Next up is a number by Ada Jones and the Male Quartet on Edison Blue Amberol. This was released in 1912, By the Light of the Silvery Moon.
Floating on the breeze. Act 1 begun. Dialogue. Where would you like to spoon? My cue with you underneath a silvery moon. By the light of the silvery moon, I want to spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love dreams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon.
By the light of the silvery moon, I want to spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon. We'll cuddle soon by the silvery moon.
Act 2, scene new, roses blooming all around the place. Cast 3, you, me, preacher with a solemn-looking face. Choir sings, bell rings, preacher says you're wed forevermore. Act 2, all through, every night the same encore. By the light
Of the silvery moon,
I want to spoon.
to my honey I'll croon love's tune.
Honeymoon,
Keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon. We'll cuddle soon by the silvery moon. By the light of the silvery moon. Silvery moon. I want to spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon,
That was Ada Jones by the Light of the Silvery Moon, and it almost sounded like Billy Murray was there in the background as part of the male quartet.
These male quartets were made up of the most famous singers and not so famous singers. And so it's interesting to speculate, was that Billy Murray? And there was a rumor going around at the time that Billy Murray and Ada Jones were having an affair. They were married, but to other people, and they were just apparently very good friends. Now, what you're saying is this is not the song called Shine On Harvest Moon, but By the Light of the Silvery Moon. And of course, I had great confusion thinking of the two. And this song, you said, was from 1909, and this recording is from 1912. Now, why is it so long? Why is it not 2 minutes? Why is it not 3 minutes?
Well, this was an Edison Blue Amberol record, and of course, they were sold as being 4-minute recordings, and so they all were recorded to 4 minutes in length. But Ada Jones did record this song earlier, and I believe, did you say it was 1908 when this song came out?
1909 is the publishing date. Yep.
I believe Ada was one of the first to record it and release it on 2-minute wax, and that was a huge hit for her. And I believe she had re-recorded this 3 times, and this would be the 3rd time.
Now, the astonishing thing about Ada Jones, and I found something on the Songwriters Friends website, is that she was an amateur musician. She'd never studied singing as a professional, and she brought this skill of her own to bear in the recording arts. So here's this very successful young woman who's a natural singer, and you can hear the quality in this recording. And the other wonderful thing I found is that I was imagining these singers moving around in front of the recording horn that you were describing, because suddenly the male quartet has more prominence and she's off in the background.
Yes, you can hear her standing back in the background. Good for you. And she actually, originally, her first recordings were made in 1893 and 1894, but at that time technology was not advanced enough, and her voice did not record well. It would be a decade before she started making records again.
So she had to wait for about 10 years.
Yes, and then she came back, and her career just took off.
I'm glad she persisted.
And that's all we have for today's show. This was very exciting having you here, Adrian. It was fun to do this show.
Pete, an absolute privilege. Invite me back again, please.
We'll do. We'll do this soon. And I encourage viewers to write in if you have any requests, or if you can help us with some information on some of the tunes we presented today. Please write in, and your comments would be appreciated.